Good morning. Welcome to Undisputed. I'm Jenny Taft with Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp. I don't know about you guys. I had a great weekend watching sports again. How are we doing?
Doing okay.
Just doing okay.
Yep, how you doing?
Well, allow me to wish a happy birthday to one Tom Brady who turns 43 years young today. But that birthday pales in comparison to the birthday of August 3rd, the one everybody is talking about. Happy birthday, Ernestine.
Yeah, happy birthday, Ernestine. Woo. I don't know about that other guy. Happy birthday, Ernestine.
She's even younger than Tom Brady today.
Happy birthday, Ernestine. You are right about that.
Yeah, I'm real good.
Yeah, I bet you are real good.
You're a little quiet, Shannon.
I ain't got nothing to say.
Might be a long show for you. We do have to talk about what we saw over the weekend, a packed weekend of NBA. Let's talk about this one. While Kawhi and the Clippers dismantled the Pelicans on Saturday afternoon, LeBron and the Lakers fell to the Raptors later that night, 107-92. Kyle Lowry dropped 33 points in Toronto's bubble debut, while Los Angeles shot a season-low 35% from the field. LeBron scored 20 points, but Anthony Davis only had 14 after scoring 34 against the Clippers on Thursday. Shannon, how concerned are you about your Lakers?
Skip, I'm really not concerned at all. I think look, they beat the Clippers. And they shot the ball poorly against the Clippers, Skip. They was under 40%, and they still found a way to win that ball game. This was the lowest poor shooting ball game that they had all year. They were 35%. Skip, they're just not knocking down shots. Eventually, that's going to change. They're down in the first two games. They're shooting 11% lower than what they shot during the regular season before the break happened, Skip. They're shooting 8% lower from the three-point line after the break than what they did before the break. It's just a matter of them making shots. And it's going to come because you see everybody else starting to heat up from the three-point line. You see the Clippers earlier, Skip, they seemed like they couldn't miss. They had 16 threes at the half. Ended up breaking a team record with 25. We see the Rockets. Now, we know the Rockets are going to get up a bunch of threes. We see the Celtics got up a bunch of threes and made a bunch of threes. Portland, with that dynamic duo backcourt they can make threes. I just believe it's just a matter of time before the Lakers start to make these open shots, and then things will look a lot different. So, Skip, that's all it comes down to this. Because if you look at LeBron's numbers as far as assists, Skip, yeah, they're down. But he's averaging more potential assists after the break than what he were before the break. It's just a matter, as Doc Rivers once coined the phrase, it's a make or miss league. And when you're making shot, everything is, oh man, look at them, they're looking well. And when you miss shot, things are not going so well. So I believe once they start to knock down a few of these shots, unfortunately, the Jazz, you got to feel this brunt tonight. So we couldn't do it to Clippers, even though we won that game. Toronto, Skip, the thing is what people don't realize about Toronto, they're more than Kawhi. Remember, Skip, they were 17-5 in which games Kawhi Leonard didn't play. Now, I'm not saying they were a better team, but it just goes to show you Nick Nurse can get these guys to play. They moved the ball. Kyle Lowry, Siakam, they were all-stars. OG is starting to come around. So they got a very good team. Van Fleet is better than people think, Skip. He can step down. He can knock down big shots. He was a 4-year starter, if I'm not mistaken, a 4-year letterman at Wichita State. So we know what he represents. So this is a very good team. They're second in the East for a reason. I mean, think about the teams they're in front of. Miami Heat, they in front of them. Boston, they're in front of them. Philly, they're in front of them. They're right behind the Milwaukee Bucks. So this is a very good team. But what happened early on, they let Kyle Lowry get going. Skip, he had 33, but he had 14 rebounds. He's a tough, gritty little player because, and he's not flashy. So he's not going to get the praise and the adulation like a Steph or Dame Lillard, Harden, Russ, these other point guards. But he's solid. He's solid. Don't you worry your pretty little head. Don't you get all these little scenarios floating around in your head. Because whatever you think is going to happen, I see you keying up under your breath. But we got something for you tonight.
And you sound like the fifth horseman in LeBron's inner circle. It sounds like you just got counseled by Maverick Carter, Rich Paul. Why don't you say this? Or you could say this. Or you could defend yourself with this.
You watched the game. You saw what happened.
I did, but I'm not sure anybody else did, and you apparently did not. You must have turned your TV off early in the fourth quarter because LeBron James, once again, he owns the first 2 minutes of every fourth quarter, but But unfortunately, they play the rest of the game.
You should hit the threes.
Yeah, he hit a couple of threes, and I thought, well, here we go.
Yep.
First 2 threes of the game. I thought, well, and I expected him after 3 quarters to change his sneakers again, the way he did against the Clippers. But he had those red things on, and they clash with purple and gold. It's not a good look for me. It just jars me. And I thought, well, he'll change. Maybe he'll put some J's on. Maybe he'll catch fire.
No, we don't do that.
Maybe he'll go Jordan fourth quarter. But he didn't.
Skip, we have our own cooking appliances. You don't use somebody else's cooking appliances. You got your own.
Here's my problem. I don't know why everybody continues to give these 2 great players a pass for what they do not do down the stretch of games. I am not going to let LeBron James and Anthony Davis off the hook yet again. You tell me he is still, LeBron, the best player on the planet. I saw what ESPN ranked the bubble players, and he was number 1. Wasn't AD like 3 or 4 on the list?
AD was
I think
in the top 5.
3. Yeah, okay, so you got 2 top 5s, including the top 1. And look what happened again down the stretch against a good team, but not a great team. And again, I get what you're saying. That team has grit and toughness and blah, 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 but they don't have Kawhi Leonard anymore, so they're not quite as good as they were a year ago. So what happened? LeBron hit his second 3 in the fourth quarter, and all of a sudden, with 10:23 left in the game, still a lot of time, the Lakers forge ahead 76-72. Okay, so you're up 4 in the bubble against Toronto. You're better than Toronto. Shannon Sharp thinks you're better than Toronto. Shouldn't you close that deal? Shouldn't you apply the pressure to them as opposed to them just suffocating you? Isn't that, haven't we talked about how much better on defense the Lakers are this year?
Yeah.
And in fact, I sent out a tweet the other day, and I just said, LeBron is playing so hard on defense. He is giving so much effort, as he did at the end of the Clippers game against Kawhi and then Paul George guarded, both of them on the last possession, that it's inspiring his whole team to play much better team defense. Right. Okay, so can Toronto defend? Yes, they can defend.
Yes, they can.
Were you stuck down the stretch trying to play Kuzma, who I believe is your closer, but you have a defensive mismatch because he's 6'8", and he's trying to guard 6'1" Kyle Lowry, and he's just having a hard time.
Yeah, he can't stay in front of him.
So he commits, the Lakers committed 4 fouls in the fourth, but I think he had 3, and he just can't deal with it. So Kyle Lowry makes some shots. He makes 2 big threes. Van Fleet makes a big 3. And all of a sudden, guess what happens to the 2 top 5 players? They lose the rest of the game 35-16. I want you to let that sink in. Last 10:23 of the game, they get outscored 35-16 by the Toronto Raptors. That's not good. That's a bad sign. That's something that should make Shannon Sharp say, yeah, I'm a little worried about it, but no, you got no worries.
I don't.
35-16, that's a night, but you get outscored by 19 points over the last 10 and a half minutes.
Look, Skip, they were outstanding in the first half. They gave up 43 points in the first half, and I thought their defense in the first half was suffocating. But for some reason in the second half, they had a letdown. And like you said, Kyle Kuzma trying to stay in front of Kyle Lowry. And Skip, when you start committing fouls, you put the team on the free throw line, and they're a very good free throw shooting team.
They made 7 of 8 in the fourth quarter.
Yeah,
okay.
Why are you fouling them? And I get your point about AD. The only thing I'll say about AD, he was making the right plays, but sometimes you got to be a little bit more aggressive. Skip, you can't. That guy can't have just 7 field goal attempts. That's not good enough. He's perfect from the free throw line. And what they were doing, they were coming to get the ball out of his hand. He's making the right plays. Skip, if they make those shots, it's like, man, AD is unbelievable at passing the ball tonight. But because they missed them, now you're saying AD needs to go out of character and just run people over. That's not his game. But I do believe he needs more than 7 field goal attempts.
So over the last 10:23 of that game on Saturday evening, LeBron James took 5 shots and made 1 of them, 0 for 2 from 3. And AD managed to take 1 shot, and it was a 3-point shot, and he made it. And that actually tied the game with 6:38 left, and they still lost the rest of the game by 15 points.
Right.
So my point is, Anthony Davis got to the free throw line 0 times in the fourth quarter. This is a man who, in the bubble and the 2 restart games, has made 25 of 26 free throws. He is a free throw shooting machine for 3 quarters.
Yep.
But after that, again, is he unselfish to a fault? Because clearly Toronto's plan right out of the blocks the other day was double it, double it, double him.
Yep.
Just make him give it up because he'll give it up fast.
Right.
Like Giannis last night will not give it up fast. He's going to run through you, around you, over you. Sometimes he's going to charge you. Sometimes he's just going to finger roll over two players and score the basket.
And we're going to talk about Giannis a little later, and sometimes that hurts his team.
Okay? You can argue. But AD, it all falls on LeBron, or on LeBron to try to figure out who's hot and where am I going to go with the basketball.
Right.
Who's going to make a shot besides me?
Right.
Because nobody else could. And then Alex Caruso, the Caruso that you rave about and Laker Nation rants and raves about, he commits 3 turnovers down the stretch. Okay? That won't work.
Right.
He had 3 fouls. It won't work. He's not that good in those moments. He wasn't stellar. He didn't make all the little big plays that turned the tide in this game. Because to me, to lose over the last 10-23 by 19 points is a really bad sign, even early in the restart.
But Skip, you have to give them credit, though, but you have to be impressed with the way they're playing defense.
Well, I guess so until the fourth quarter.
They had a lull. But think about what the Clippers did the second game as opposed to how the Lakers made them look. Now, Paul George has been unbelievable. Paul George has been out of his mind shooting the 3, Skip. And what we saw from him on Saturday was ridiculous. He's stepping back.